With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
Called the greatest generation, at the onset of World War II in America, 16 million brave men and women answered the call to serve their country in the U.S. Armed Forces that defeated Germany and Italy in Europe and Japan in the Pacific region. In World War II, over 400,000 Americans died or were listed as missing in action. Only in the Civil War has there been greater loss of American lives.
After Roosevelt was elected president, some of his staff or someone said, if you don't get something started pretty quick, you will be a one-term president. And Roosevelt said, if I don't get something going pretty quick, I'll be the last president.
When World War II broke out, our entire country worked to work. Men, women, and children. A lot of the men were gone into the service, so the women stepped up and took over.
We were very patriotic because we wanted to win the war.
I enlisted because I was so proud of this country being a free country where you could worship the way you wanted, you could do what you wanted, and these people were going to take over and stop all that. And so I figured it was worth my life if necessary, and so I really thought I was going to get killed, but I went anyway.
War is bad anywhere at any time. But we were in a battle for survival, and most of us realized that.
I remember standing in front of the Zenith radio upright, and when he declared war, when he come out, and I listened to the bombing of Pearl Harbor. I was just a little kid then, and that infuriated me.
At the dying end of 1943, the leaders of America, Britain, and the Soviet Union had met in Tehran, there to speak for their peoples, collectively to devise the great three-front offensive of 1944. The Western armies were massing the guns, the shells, the tanks, the trucks, the planes, the food stocks, the gasoline, spare parts, field equipment, mine detectors, medical supplies, and troops. In the Far East, American power struck in the Pacific. Guadalcanal, New Guinea, Tarawa, Inwitok, the Admiralties, Biak, the Marianas, Palau, Morotai, and now the Philippines. We attack.
This is the original uniform that I wore in the Army and was discharged in June of 1946.
And the troops.
We lived in the mud, in the ground, eating sea rations out of a can cold. We had over 30 inches of rain in the 32 days I spent on Okinawa fighting. And all the while we were being shot at, Japanese mortars, artillery, whatever else they had to throw at us.
I flew 35 missions during the war, and I was only overseas 8.5 months. So we flew missions about every second day. A lot of fellows didn't come back. And of course, those are the heroes of the day.
You ran to your gun as fast as you could. You took up your duties just like you were trained to do, and you just done what you were trained to do. I guess our biggest problem was the suicide planes in those days. I'm talking about Okinawa and Iwo Jima. And we'd get them. We could reach out there with those 5-inch guns, and we could throw up a battery of shells that flying through the flak there would get most of the airplanes, but there was always some that got through. We did lose people. And then you got the ghastly job of taking them out and burying them at sea. They didn't have a place that we could put them like you would be if you could get them back home. And I guess that was the most devastating part of my life. And then you see guys that 30 minutes ago you were talking to, and now they're dead.
I joined, and I'll do it again in New York 2nd. And though we washed out, because I love my country.
Well, actually, I've not had anybody call me a hero, except maybe my kid.
Well, there you go.
But I appreciate, you know, their feeling to me toward that. But if people could see what I went through, they would call me a hero. If they could even envision what I went through. You'd have to be heroic in order to do it, or else you'd jump off ship and try to swim.
Coming home as heroes, America's vets went to work, were instrumental in building the world's leading industrialized economy, and delivering the great American dream to their families.
I must admit, when I look at how this country galvanized together to save the world from tyranny, I think it was the greatest generation. That goes not just for the soldiers, but for the whole nation that got behind the whole thing, and our allies, who were pretty well beat up by the time we jumped in and saved them.
When the bomb was dropped, it made all the difference to us fellows at Okinawa, because we were scheduled to, we later found out later, we were scheduled to invade Japan. And Okinawa was bad, but Japan would have been this terrible. When I was a few years younger, one of my grandsons was writing a paper on ethics, and he asked me that question, what I thought about dropping the bomb, and I told him if they hadn't dropped it, he might not be around.
I did what I had to do when we were in a time of war, and I needed to protect my country and my family.
To recognize the sacrifices that our World War II veterans made for the freedom Americans treasure, Honor Flight sends them on a trip of a lifetime, a journey to Washington, D.C. to visit the memorial built in their honor. On this inaugural trip for Honor Flight Houston, the group was made up of 25 vets and their guardians. Another soon followed.
Coming off the plane in Washington, there was hundreds of people to greet us there, which was amazing. And we were down the middle of the aisle there, and they would just clap and holler and scream, and then they'd want to come take your picture, shake your hands, and they couldn't do enough for us.
People were lined up on both sides as we moved through, and they were just holding out their hands and saying thanks and thanks and thanks, and so it was heartwarming, I'll tell you. It couldn't have been nicer.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Everything that happened, it seemed that it was happening because I was a veteran and because I was there and the people were so nice. The honor flight attendants, everybody was just great.
What did you think about that reception?
Oh, that was wonderful. Fantastic. Just fabulous. Unbelievable.
You deserve it.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
I thought it was super. I feel like some kind of a hero or something.
You are a hero.
Well, we sure appreciate it.
Look at the camera, Daddy. Look at the camera. He's filming you. Look at the camera. All right, act natural.
Everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, y'all.
I can hear you.
My name's Matt. I'm the guy that's helping out from Austin. How y'all doing? Everybody have a good flight?
Hey, yeah. You guys feel like rock stars?
Oh, yeah.
Built in the heart of Washington, D.C. on the National Mall, the World War II Memorial is located on 17th Street between Constitution and Independence Avenue. To the west is the Lincoln Memorial. To the east, the Washington Monument. It is visited by over 4 million people a year. It honors the spirit, sacrifice, and commitment of the American people, the generation who survived the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression, and then fought a world war victoriously. The memorial design consists of a plaza and 2 pavilions with triumphal arches, representing the Atlantic and the Pacific victories, held aloft by bronze columns, adorned with American eagles grasping a victory laurel. Embedded in each floor is a victory medal surrounded by the inscription 1941 to 1945, victory on land, victory at sea, victory in the air. The pavilions are linked by a semicircle of 56 granite pillars that identify each of the U.S. states, territories, and District of Columbia, connected by a sculpted rope symbolizing the bonding of a nation. At the base of the arches, engraved are the major battles fought during the war, recreating the arduous path that the warriors forged to victory. At the center of the memorial is the Rainbow Pool. Directly across from the entrance is the Freedom Wall. Prominently displayed are 4,048 bronze stars, each symbolizing 100 lives lost in the war or missing in action. Coming through the entry of the memorial, on each side, bronze relief panels, 24 in all, depict memorable scenes of the conflict. The recruit's physical exam, taking the oath, being issued military gear, combat. And homecoming.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, World War II veterans, to the trip of a lifetime.
At Hobby Airport in Houston, the honor flight vets and their guardians prepared to depart.
We thank you, Father, for their service to our wonderful country. And may this weekend be a time where they can shed some tears of joy and sorrow. May they remember the time when they served our country.
We just got here together. 6 inches. Cameraman.
You ready to go, Captain? Boat loaded. Come off, Coxswain.
It may be the...
What do you got there?
Dog tag? Those are your German dog tags from the prisoner war camp.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you did. Whatever you do. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for saying. Thank you. We got a great world to live in because of this. Thanks.
What's that right there?
That's a list of all my missions, 35 missions.
So you were bombardier, right, on a B-24?
Yeah, right.
Did you fly?
35.
35. That's the list right there.
Yeah.
So how old are you?
96.
96. How'd you live to be 96, besides surviving the war?
Just had the right kind of booze.
Ready to go?
I'm ready. Open that door.
Might stay a week instead of a day.
You excited?
Yes, I am.
You're going to be a movie star.
All right. I love it.
Who are you with?
Meryl Streep.
This is my hero right here.
Oh, you wouldn't believe that there's people today that would treat old men like they treated us.
At first I thought that they'd had Paul Revere of the town crier running ahead of us saying the veterans are coming, but I decided it was strictly spontaneous.
Hi, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your service.
Listen, thank you for putting up with us.
Oh, absolutely. You're not in trouble at all. It's one of our easiest ones.
Yeah, thank you.
People clapping, wanting to shake your hand, and calling us brave, and I told some of them, you better watch that, I might begin to think you're telling the truth.
Always grabbing the pretty girl.
Oh, yeah. They don't really like you. Getting that kind of reception from so many people, and especially to me, the younger people there, made you feel exhilarated and humbled just to be a part of not of that group, but just to be a part of what the world you lived in. And it was so great.
First one you come to. Okay.
Do you like a window or aisle?
Aisle.
Aisle.
First of all, I'd like to welcome our first-time flyers on board, such as myself.
This is Houston's inaugural honor flight for World War II veterans on their way to Washington today to see their memorial and the museum there. If we could please, everybody give a big round of applause. These men have served our country well, made many, many sacrifices. We are truly grateful for their service.
As the Southwest Airlines plane taxied to the runway, the vets on board were honored with a water cannon salute, provided by the Houston Airport Fire Department.
Near the wing, next to the window, right there at the engine. That's where I wanted to look out at. Made sure I got a window.
Why is that?
I wanted to look out. My first trip, first jet trip.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm nosy. I wanted to see everything. Somebody from Orange, Texas riding a jet airplane.
For the first time?
First time, yeah. It was a great experience, and I enjoyed it. It was a pretty fast movement, but I managed to make it. At 90 years old, you know, that's not many of them can make that trip and follow through everything that was done.
Deplaning at the terminal in Washington, D.C., the vets were greeted with an enthusiastic and boisterous crowd of admirers.
As we got on the plane in Houston, we loaded first, the veterans and their guardians. We got to Washington, D.C., and we were told to sit still while the civilians got off the plane. I had no way of knowing why we were being the last to get off the plane. But we got off the plane, and there was a football line on each side. It was like I've seen the high school come in, and I said, it was so awesome. And that was the most emotional time.
What do you think about it so far?
what a reception. Beautiful.
Walking off the plane in Washington, D.C. was quite an experience, and it brought back a lot of memories. When I was a kid, I was a member of the Sons of the American Legion Drum and Bugle Corps. And one of the things we did, we marched in the Memorial Day Parade. And there'd be a lot of World War I veterans and Spanish American veterans. They walked, but they always had 3 or 4 Civil War veterans, and they had them on the back of a Model T sitting on wheelchairs. And when I wheeled through this place and found all these people smiling, having fun, I was thinking, God, I don't know if I'm this old anymore.
Welcome to D.C. We're so glad you're here.
That was just phenomenal, just a wonderful reception in Washington, D.C. And I was so proud to be a member of that group of veterans, 26 of us that were on the plane.
I can tell you it's my dying day. When them people, I just melted.
This is really some kind of tournament.
We said bring a guardian, not a harem.
You're gonna look at it. There you go.
What did you think about that reception at the gate?
The reception was unbelievable, unexpected, and very spontaneous.
Much appreciated, loved it. All those smiling faces.
I was very thrilled about it. Surprised first and thrilled.
It was so emotional, I just couldn't believe it. It was just tremendous. I've never seen anything like it.
What did you think about that reception?
I'll never forget it.
I couldn't get over that, man. That's wonderful.
It was one.
Sure was. Didn't expect it.
Well, you deserve it.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know whether I deserve that or not.
You do.
I thought that was really marvelous. So many people there was utter surprise, and they all greeted us with such enthusiasm. It made me feel very, very nice, very good. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I've never had a reception like that since I hit a home run, and I've never hit a home run.
I never saw so many smiling faces in my life, and they were all wearing their hands out, clapping.
Oh man, wonderful, wonderful reception. The best we've ever had, even coming back from World War II. You guys done a beautiful job. Our hats are off to you.
Our hats are off to you.
You deserve it.
It's just any red-blooded American would have done the same thing I've done. We don't need them around.
I don't feel like I deserve a reward. The reward was that we won the damn war.
Amen.
We just did our part.
You did an incredible job, my friend.
Well,
You saved freedom for the world.
it's a fact.
I had me tearing up, so I got so emotional I was tearing. Had to wipe my eyes. I was tearing up. But I'm an emotional type guy anyhow, and it just does something to me.
I guess you were feeling the love, huh?
Yeah, I really was. I really appreciated what went on. This made me feel good. That there's enough people out there that really appreciate what went on during World War II.
We do, sir.
Yeah.
Early Saturday morning, the vets and their guardians were off for a busy day under clear skies and cool temperatures.
Y'all ready?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
We're burning daylight.
That's what I'm thinking.
We'll have some fun.
Absolutely.
You ready to go?
Ready to go. Go for it.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Among their visits, Arlington National Cemetery, to witness the solemn tomb of the unknown soldier changing of the guard. It is practiced every day by an elite group of U.S. Army 3rd Infantry Regiment. One of the highest honors it bestows is selection to serve as a sentinel for the tomb of the unknowns. The attrition rate of guards is so low, it has made the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier Identification Badge the second least awarded military decoration of the United States, with the first being the astronaut badge. Occurring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nothing has caused the watch to cease. It's called walking the mat. The changing of the guard takes place in silence. It is a meticulous routine involving inspection of the guard, and then the guard assuming watch. With discipline and absolute precision, the guard follows a strict regimen, mirroring the tradition of the 21-gun salute. When watching over the graves, the sentinel marches 21 steps, waits 21 seconds, and then marches again, and waits until the watch is complete and the guard is relieved of duty.
We were told to be totally silent because we were going to watch the changing of the guard, and that was a very impressive service.
The guards are better than any ballet dancer, and it's really amazing to watch them parade up and down with the finesse and the accuracy of their stepping.
It certainly reminds us to never forget.
The dedication of these young fellows to protecting our, guarding the tomb of the unknown really struck a note with me, and I'm sure of all the rest of the young fellows that were, the older fellows that were there.
And why is that?
So many people died, and it wasn't just for those 3 people that were buried there, but for all of the men that were killed, that were buried overseas or buried in the ocean or whatever. It's just a very touching time.
It was such a amazing thing that the servicemen that we lost, and then so amazing that the servicemen that did come back. And I was lucky to be one of those.
The vets arrived at their dream destination, the World War II Memorial. Here, as everywhere the vets went, they were greeted by smiling faces and warm embraces, opportunities for the generations of American citizens who followed them to demonstrate their respect, appreciation, and admiration.
We met all kinds of crowds there that were visiting the place, and we met other groups from other honor flights from Connecticut and other places.
To get that kind of reception, you meant that really people cared, and it really gave me a good feeling of our nation.
They made a celebrity out of me. After 94 years, I became a celebrity at the World War II Memorial.
Thank you.
I lost track how many times I was kissed on the cheek or the forehead by total strangers. And
Thank you for your service.
in calling it the honor flight, I certainly felt honored, but it was also humbling. I'm not used to being the recipient of that kind of attention and response, and I was deeply moved and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Your memorial right here has a place of honor in our nation's capital. To thank you, a place of honor. We call this the jewel of them all.
Touring the World War II Memorial, the vets took a journey back in time, remembering fellow warriors, those who returned and those who didn't.
It's just great.
So what do you think about the memorial?
Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
Do you feel honored?
Yes.
It's been a long time coming, and I really did. The first impression was of what a magnificent thing this was.
When I first walked up to the memorial, I was totally awed by what they had put together here, and the symbolism behind it.
Well, I'll tell you, here's the Army, here's the Marine, and here's the Navy.
Yeah.
They're all in this at the naval for the.
Well, Navy and Marines, you're kind of married.
Yeah.
The Marines was the men's department.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you all think about this memorial? What are your thoughts about the memorial?
This is simply amazing.
Yeah,
Or to use the terms today, awesome.
Well done, appropriate to the job we had to do.
And we thank Bob Dole for contributing and getting all his efforts to get this put in. It took a long time, but we appreciate it.
Being at the World War II Memorial caused me to think about the comradeship that you gained and the friends that you lost during that time.
Seeing the memorial brings back the World War II days, and how many people didn't come back, how many people didn't make it, you know, and what some of the poor guys went through. And then you start thinking about their families. They lost their dear ones, and then you think how fortunate you are that you got through it in good health.
While at the memorial, the vets were greeted by Bob Dole, who routinely comes here to interact with fellow veterans as his declining health permits.
So what do you think about seeing Bob Dole?
Oh, that was the icing on the cake. After all of this, seeing my grandkids, and then seeing Bob Dole and shaking his hand, I don't need it anymore. I don't think I could take anymore.
It was something that he, at his age and so forth, that he is able and willing to be there to greet the people.
Seeing Bob Dole in the flesh and chatting with him was a real highlight.
I had a chance to nose in, shook his hand, thanked him for his type of service, and wished him well.
Thank you very much. Shake his hand.
Boston. Houston, Texas.
You tired yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right.
Still got a lot of gas.
Then it was on to the Korean Memorial, dedicated in July of 1995. It commemorates the 5.8 million Americans who served in the armed forces during that conflict. Over 54,000 Americans died, and 8,000 who were listed as missing in action are buried at sea. The memorial contains 17 7-foot-tall stainless steel statues, 14 Army, 3 Marine, 1 Navy, and 1 Air Force member, with the faces representing an ethnic cross-section of the country. The squad of soldiers is gathered among juniper bushes with stone dividers, symbolizing a rice paddy. The soldiers are wearing ponchos, seemingly being blown by a cold wind. Also displayed at the memorial is a mural wall consisting of 41 etched panels that were created using 2,400 photographs of the conflict from the National Archives.
There's a group of fellows, if there's ever one that is of people that were forgotten, it's the Korean War, and they did some of the hardest fighting.
Next, the vets visited the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, commonly known as the Wall. It rises from the earth on a 2-acre plot in Constitution Gardens.
The list is as they died, and each day's deaths are together. They're with their buddies they died with. Anybody killed together is on the wall together. So every time you see the alphabet change, it's a new day.
The wall was designed to be reflective and contemplative, to harmonize with its surroundings, contain the names of the 58,272 Americans who lost their lives, including the 1,200 listed as missing, and make no political statement concerning the conflict.
As a World War II veteran, we were much appreciated, and it's a shame that the Vietnam veterans and some of the others in these later wars have been sort of neglected when they came home, and they still paid a heavy price, and it really is a shame that they didn't get the credit that they were due.
Other stops, although brief, included the Iwo Jima Memorial and the Air Force Memorial.
Service is a willingness to sacrifice the setting aside of personal desires, comfort and security when the safety of the country is at stake.
Also, some of the vets got a chance to visit the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum.
So again, welcome to the museum. We're in the World War II gallery. And we have the Spitfire over here on your left. And we have a P-51 on the right. Now we have overhead a Mach-E. The Italian Air Force was flying that. And over on this side over your head we have a Zero.
That was the buzz bomb.
5, 6, 7.
Wow. And that name came from the noise it made.
They would launch it, and
Well,
it would.
they launched it in France.
Okay.
And then they'd have just so much fuel, and would get to London, and then it would just run out of fuel and just drop.
From our honor flight, with a big round of applause for their sacrifice. We greatly appreciate you all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your service.
Burps.
Mail call.
On board the flight home, the vets were given a mail bag of letters from family, friends, and even complete strangers, all expressing their profound gratitude to these American heroes.
And it went through my head, what the hell is going on? Mail call up 35,000 feet in the air.
Look what you've got, Daddy. Look at this. I mean, it's from all over the country.
As they read them, such personal affirmations cascading off page after page, scribed by their admirers, many of the vets were moved to tears.
So how's it feel to get all these letters?
Terry.
Terry.
My cousin in Oklahoma sent me a female letter which she had saved since World War II. And this is the way we got our mail and sent our mail in World War II. And she still had the stationery.
Okay, Dad, a lot of men served in World War II. Some of them became famous. Dwight Eisenhower, George Patton, and George H.W. Bush are a few who stick out in my mind. Most of the soldiers of World War II have not had books written about them or their lives. When they were called upon, they did what they had to do, and in doing this, they saved the world. This weekend, you have rightly taken your place among the heroes of our nation, and for that, you should be overwhelmingly proud. Dad, just wanted to let you know you are my hero. You were part of something much bigger than I can even imagine. You gave a part of yourself to this country, and for that, I am eternally grateful. Thank you for the freedoms you have allowed my family to have. Thank you for being a man of honor, respect, and dignity. With great admiration, I salute you, Donald.
Who's that from?
That's a great-grandkid.
Reply or reply all.
That is a great deal what we worked out here about my mail.
I like that.
I like that. It don't matter where I go. I got mail coming to me.
That's right. We love you. We appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
This is from his granddaughter.
Granddaughter, what's the first line say?
It says, Grandpa, darling, you beautiful thing.
Grandpa, darling, you beautiful thing.
I made them say that instead of thank you and please since they were little kids.
Who are you hearing from?
Everybody.
Everybody?
That's quite a cute idea.
You like that?
It was the best thing of the whole trip when they said mail call, the expression as it was in the Army camps.
That's a picture of his family.
That's it, when they were little.
Yeah.
Each of you played such an important part in that well-greased military machine they teach us about in history books. As a young man, leaving your friends and family to go to a foreign country for months to years is frightening enough. And add the trauma of being shot at, bombed, and gassed, watching your newfound friends get killed or wounded, being able to keep your wits about you so you didn't join their fate. That is truly unbelievable. Heroes like that came from your generation, not mine. Generation after generation, after you had easy street because of what you folks did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love, Deb.
These are from my wife. I shouldn't say that. I said it down there first. But she gonna get sloppy and I'll be crying.
I will never be able to fully extend my gratitude for everything you've done for me. Will it be bailing out of jail or sending me off to war? You were there. I will never forget our talks and your lessons, and I will always unconditionally love you. Sincerely, your grandson, Sergeant Shannon Bussey.
Getting all those letters from folks was just an unbelievable thing, an experience. And to read those things was just something that the average person would not even understand.
Dear U.S. veteran who fought in World War II, numeral 2, thank you for risking your life to save our country from Adolf Hitler. Please, if there is another war with the U.S., please fight for us. Sincerely, John. So he's going to have to dust off his Springfield and pull it out of the closet and find some ammo.
I even got letters from Boy Scouts that had been in my Boy Scout troop back in the 60s and 70s. And one of them wrote a 19-page letter describing what scouting did for him as he served in the military later.
My son is a Major Mark Rivera, Major. He was a major in the Air Force.
So what does he have to say to you?
Well, he says to me that he thanks me for serving my country, and he's very proud of what I gave to my country.
The things that the people wrote and accused me of being a hero, which I am not.
Yes, you are, sir.
But I loved it, every minute of it.
Somebody made this for you from one of the kids in Lufkin. It says, heroes are made and never forgotten.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was real thoughtful, whoever thought it up. Yeah.
What means the most is not just getting the card as a veteran, but you were one of God's warriors, so strong in your faith, and I know you're proud of your 3 children as they each walk with Christ. And that means more to me than anything.
It was very emotional, very touching, humbling to read all of it. I felt like I was reading my obituary. But
people love you and appreciate you.
I could tell.
Welcome, Sergeant Gentry. How are you today?
Just fine.
We are so excited to have you here at Deer Park Junior High, and the kids are so excited to meet a true American hero.
I'm so glad.
So impressed was Buster Godnitsky by the letters he received from school students in his neighborhood. He wanted to meet them.
Well, I'm so glad.
Many were from Deer Park Junior High, where students wrote over 150 letters. Buster reminisced about growing up, surviving the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression, and the threat of losing their family farm.
the government stopped that sale. My mother and dad brought home 2 cans of sardines and a box of soda crackers. And I'm 91 years old now, and I've never eaten a more satisfying meal than I ate that day. That's something to think about.
Buster also spoke of the war. In words of wisdom, Buster reminded the students that bravery is instilled in each of them, and to rely on it in the midst of whatever difficulties they may face.
They called us, you know, the greatest generation. And in a way, what we faced forced it on us instead of that. Any one of you come up on a situation, you make the best of it, and you do what you can, and that's the way life is.
Staying after the event, some of the students gathered around Buster to personally read from their letters to him.
Dear Mr. Konsinski, thank you for being there when our country needed you in World War II. I hope you had a good time on the honor flight. You really helped protect our country's freedom. Thank you for being brave enough to fight for us in the war.
Arriving at Hobby Airport, a patient and enthusiastic crowd anxiously and excitingly anticipated the vets' homecoming.
Woo! Welcome home, sir. God bless
you. My experience on this wonderful honor flight trip was far more than I expected. It's just incredible that there are that many people that are so appreciative and to pay their respects, and volunteers and everybody else for World War II veterans.
Thank you. I've got a big old camera on you, Poppy. I love you. Thank you. So proud of you.
Arriving back at Hobby, I expected to get on a bus and get to the car and get home because I was tired.
And it was kind of embarrassing to me to walk out and have all these people clapping, and it kind of got me by a surprise, so I didn't know whether to give them the royal wave or what. So I just thanked them very much.
All of them were probably born after the war was over, and they still appreciated the sacrifices and the fact that we kept the freedom.
Following a brief ceremony and gift-giving, the vets were absolutely exhausted, but excited and grateful.
Bob Feller, a pitcher for the Major League Baseball and the first American athlete professional to enlist in the Navy, once said that if you go to Europe and ask them who won the war, they don't say the Allies. They say that the United States won the war and saved the world.
You gonna have some, Mom?
What did you think about the trip?
Well, it was great. It's good to get home, but we just had a wonderful time. Everyone took good care of us, and we're very appreciative. Thanks.
What did you think about the trip?
It was a great trip.
You enjoyed it?
Oh, yes.
Inspirational?
I was impressed.
My impressions of Honor Flight Houston were everything that I expected and much, much more.
Well, I thought it was the greatest day I guess I've ever had in my life. It was really an experience you just have to go through it to know.
What did you think about the trip?
I thought it was marvelous.
You enjoyed it?
Much more than I expected. I was rather anxious about it to begin with. But now that it's over, it was fabulous.
This has been great, and I'm certainly happy to get a little thanks for the things that we did. We all did them,
and we did them because we wanted to. There's lots of us that volunteered.
That's right.
And we won.
Amen.
Amen.
Hey, what'd you think about the trip?
Oh, wow. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah. It just overflowed with love and affection and thanks and all that good stuff. So I am totally amazed, and I'll never forget it.
You're pretty amazing yourself.
Hopefully, I'll have a few more years to remember it.
You will.
Y'all had a good time?
Yes.
MacArthur had a famous statement where he says, old soldiers never die, they just fade away. And that's what's happening right now. World War II veterans are fading away fast, and I just hope that support for these honor flights will continue to get as many as possible up to that wonderful memorial before they all fade away.
Everything about it is just wonderful, I'll put it that way. And I thank Honor Flight for including me in their flight. Now I got to go.
You guys remember your serial number?
I do.
3605031.
38347027.
I guess that's something you never forget.
That's right. It's kind of like your marriage.
You remember your serial number?
577-2958.
I guess you don't forget that.
Never stays there.
Yeah, something you don't forget. I forget what happened yesterday, but not that.